Hey guys, I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Whether y'all are watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm just so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to go through 6 knives that I kind of consider my bangers. I would call them hard use knives, hard use folding knives, but I don't really hard use my knives, as I've told you guys kind of in the past. So these are the ones that if I need to go wax on some shit and I need to get things done, these are the 6 in my collection currently that I go for kind of as work beaters. Before I get started, I do want to say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's made their way in here, found their way in to check out my knife, my ADC content, or has come back to watch it. I appreciate you more than you know. I would ask if you're so inclined and you've got just a second to hit the subscribe button and that bell notification icon. It really does help me out, helps the channel out. But this is we'll call it number 6, and this is the Benchmade Freak. The Freak is probably the largest Benchmade in my collection. It is a full-size knife with M4 steel. It's got one of the thicker blade geometries of Benchmades in my collection. G10 handles. Really, really good action. And a very good cutter. And a very hard use. Very solid. Axis lock engaged. No rock. No side to side. I know I can take this knife out. I can whack through some stuff with it. I can finesse cut with it because it is very sharp. I have not sharpened this knife, but I'm sure that the steel gets better as you get into it. So it's one that fills my hand. This knife is bigger to me than my Ritter Hogue and then my Benchmade Griptilians. I think the Freak, the full-size Freak, is just an absolute winner. It's got a deep carry clip on it. It's got this nice texturing on the G10. You can kind of see that there. You've got this kind of light texturing on the edges here that are contoured, and then you've got a little bit more of this almost bone type milling in the center, which really just gives it great purchase. It's got a really nice sharpening choil, thumb studs. Again, action is fall shut. You can reverse finger flick it. You can thumb flick it. For my Benchmades, it's probably one that's got as good of action as any. It's also very centered. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know how my camera angle is showing it. But yeah, the Benchmade Freak is going to be one of my top 6 go-to bangers in this, which would be May of 2024, because my collection does change. But this guy has been a staple and is probably a forever knife just because I love it. But moving on, we come to a TwoSun that I do not have the number of. I want to say it's the TS346, but I will put it in the description because these are actually in stock at White Mountain Knives now. I saw them just the other day. If you're interested, use Javon 10, save yourself 10%. It will not come with this wicked hollow grind and this compound tip. That's a Satu Dave regrind. But the knife itself was special enough, so special to me, even though it's D2 steel, that I wanted to send it to Satu to get the actual treatment done on it, to get it taken care of. This knife is on washers. I've never seen a TwoSun like this before. It's a joy to either slow roll out, locks up like a champ, about 35%. You can middle finger flick it. It's got wonderful ergonomics. This knife fits my hand whether I hold it back here where I don't, or if I hold it up here, my hand is engaging the frame lock. So I'm at, we'll call it 40% lockup, when I grip the knife, I'm only holding that frame lock in. You've got really nice jimping on the blade that just give you more just aggressive purchase. And then the hollow grind Satu put on this made it a slicer. If you buy it just like it is, you can still stick it through a car door and not damage it because it comes from TwoSun. Very, very sharp, very slicey. It's just a thicker grind. And this is one that I wanted to, since I'm not a hard use guy, I wanted to kind of turn it into a more finesse cutter. So I can't think of anybody who does a better job than Brother Satu. Look at that. I'm sorry guys, I've gone into that therapeutic slicey trance. But anyway, this is the TS, we're going to call it the 246. Another thing that's unique about this knife, and I do not have that part out here, it ships, it comes in the box, in this little TwoSun box, with a little bar that has a thing that you can screw into this blade. So if you can tell, this hole is bigger than this hole's threaded. So although this lock is very solid, I shouldn't spine whack because I'm anti-spine whacking because it messes up your lock face geometry. But this lock is very solid. But if you wanted to even beat on it more, it comes from TwoSun with a small bolt that you can put through here, screw it in, flushes up, and gives you just another point of making it closer to a fixed blade. It won't be a fixed blade because it's multiple parts, but it does give you a bar that goes straight through the blade. You can see the blade hole right there. Right there. It lines up right there. Perfect circle. Put your bar through it. Screw it in. You've got a very, very hard use knife. I love it. I will make sure I put the right model number, and I'll put a link to White Mountain Knives in there. If you use Javon 10 or it's one of your other favorite creators codes, you can save 10%. And these, I think, go for about 90 bucks. But moving on, we come to a knife that surprised me years ago, and so much so that it stayed in the collection, and it's going to be the thinnest banging hard use knife. Whoops, I can't believe I failed it. Whoops, I can't believe I failed it. Whoops, I can't believe I failed it. All right, this is the Cold Steel American Lawman. It is a backlock or triad. I don't think this is a triad lock. Somebody correct me in the I think it's just a traditional lock back. But needless to say, it's very, very stable. It is on washers. It uses S35 VN steel. It is, in my hand, extremely comfortable. It's thin. I think these are G10 scales. You've got a perfect forward finger choil. And again, you can hold this knife in many different grips, right? I mean, depending on what your task is. But from a work knife that is not very heavy, that does not take up a lot of pocket space, but yet is built out to be, whoops, I should just thumb flick it, built out to be a banger. The American Lawman from Cold Steel is one of my top 3 or 4, probably one of my top 4 Cold Steels. I love it. This does not have any blade modification. This one's never been sharpened. This is just the factory edge. It could probably stand to use to be sharpened, or it could probably stand to be sharpened. But it's plenty slicey. It's just got a grittier grind on it, more toothy edge. American Lawman from Cold Steel, great knife. I'll leave an Amazon link of mine because that's where I picked that guy up, from one of the Amazon stores that sells Cold Steel. I got a lot of my Cold Steels off of Amazon. But this one is, again, made in Taiwan, reversible clip. The clip works very well. Cold steel is usually really bad, in my opinion, about doing these huge gargantuan clips. This one is stiff, but it goes in and out of pocket very well. Literally just slide it down and it pushes over that lip. And I've got very thick hem pants on. If anything, you might need to give it just a little wiggle, but nothing major. It is a very, I think, economical knife. At coming in, I want to say around, and I'll leave a link, but I want to say around $119, $120, maybe $130. Taiwan made S35VN backlock knife, so it's very, very stable, very sturdy, very much hard working, and very drop shutty. So I want to keep my finger up here so the choil hits my finger, comes down, slap it shut. Cold steel American Lawman, true banger. Moving on, and it's not ironic, but in the banger style of my knives, we find a lot of cold steels because they are, in my personal opinion, when I look at bangers, I'm not grabbing some of my more expensive bangers, and this is not a cheap banger by any means. This is right around, I think, $195, maybe a little less. I'll put a link to it. It's an S35VN. It is the AD10. It is an absolutely full-size knife that has some of the best ergonomics. I put a Pops deep carry clip on this that works great, but it does give you a little bit of a hot spot. Nothing major, because I've cut a lot with this knife. You feel the clip more than the factory clip, but to me, the convenience of the deep carry clip and the way that it goes in and out of pocket made it more than worth the modification. This guy is absolutely fall shut. I do have to hold my finger all the way up here so the blade doesn't cut me, because if I hold it back here, it'll swing down and cut my finger. This is the triad lock, the Demco triad lock, which you can see the light coming right through that back lock, where this little, see if I can show you, where that hammer, when this rolls around, it actually falls into that chamber. See if you can see that. And it's one of the strongest locks in the game. From all the tests of terms of putting weight on the blades break before the lock breaks, things like that. The 8010, a full-size knife, a chopper, a plunger, a digger. I mean, you could use this literally to dig if you were out camping, digging a fire pit. It is very slicey from the factory. This is the factory edge. Since I'm not a hard use knife guy, I take these when I go camping. I use them a little bit around the fire, but not a lot, because I can't use all my hard use knives and I don't go camping that much. But this one is absolutely a winner. And that's the Cold Steel 8010. Really like this knife. Had thought about sending this off when I sent this next one off that I'm going to show you, but I didn't. So this still has the factory grind on it. And it is the Cold Steel 8010. So moving on, we come to the Boss Daddy Cold Steel. This is not my favorite, but it's definitely my second favorite. This is the Cold Steel 4MAX, and it does have, again, Satu Dave's amazing, sick hollow grind. I love this knife. I loved it before I had it modded. I love it now. It is S35VN, G10 handles. This is the factory clip. So you've got a very low profile clip, amazing jimping, probably over a 1/2 inch handle. I probably don't even need the calipers. I can probably just take my tape measure. And you're at, yeah, right over a 1/2 inch in terms of the handle thickness. So it is a big guy. And this one I also, just like the 8010, because when I look at these two knives together, the 8010, guys, in my opinion, is like the 4MAX Mini. So 4MAX Mini. The clips look different because I modded the clip, right? So there's that. But to me, the Cold Steel 4MAX is like a bigger version of the 8010. And the drop shut on this is next level. The action, even though I just failed it, is next level. Look how thick this triad lock is. The lock bar is, we'll have to get the calipers for this. Just to give you an idea on the beefiness of what we're talking about. The lock bar is almost a 1/4 inch. It is 0.2135. The blade stock starts out at 0.1915. About 1/5 of an inch. And this one has Satu's Wicked Regrind 2, as does the one we're getting ready to look at. But I don't know when the last time you cut with a 4MAX or a 4MAX Scout. They usually don't cut like that. But again, I can still, because he left it as a compound, I still got that thick tip, still jab it through a car door, use it to hack down trees, use it to chop, use it to cut. Hard use to the nth degree. Probably my most hard use knife in my collection. I love it. I love it even more with Satu's grind. It's a forever knife, but this is almost the best of the rest. The Cold Steel 4MAX, which is going to bring us to my number 1. Go get them. Banger. Hard use for me knife. It's the Cold Steel 8015. I love this knife. I love the Scorpion lock, more so even than the Triad lock. I think I might even like it more than the Shark lock. I just think it's so elegant. I've got a set of titanium scales that have been ordered for a while, waiting for them to come in. They're just trying to get some washers in stock, but I'm stoked to put titanium right here. You've got this aluminum lock bar, and basically what happens is with the thumb studs, when you go to deploy this knife, you can see this Scorpion lock is rolling around. You've got the stop pin here, and you've got this little notch in the blade. So this is under tension, and it locks it down into the blade. That blade's not going anywhere. Then you take it to the next step, which is you hold the knife, whether you hold it back here or you hold it up here, and the butt of your hand is further engaging that lock. So this lock, in my opinion, is one of the strongest locks in the knife game. I think it's extremely ingenious. A lot of people don't like it. It's kind of a point of contention. I think it's one of the more fidgety locks in the game. I don't know why I'm having trouble reverse finger flicking that. Probably because I'm under the camera. But once you get used to it, it opens. Use one hand, close it. I'm just basically taking my fingers and pulling that apart. So if I want to slow roll it, it's open. I go down here, I give it a little pull, a little shake, closes up. And again, this was sent off with the other 2 knives that made this hard use list to Brother Satu to do his magic on them. Again, most 8015s are not going to cut like this from the factory, but they will be brutes. They will cut, just like that 8020 did. Cut very well, but they're harder use knives, right? They're designed to be used around wood, soft tissue, things you're breaking down, cordage, cardboard, you name it. Really anything you're trying to cut. These guys are cutters. They're users. They are work knives. They are what I call get it done knives, right? So that is my 6 knives, kind of to show off what I think of as the top get it done knives. And that's most of them are Cold Steels. I do have banging heavier knives that are as beefy as Cold Steels, but I'm not going to mislead you guys that I take those out and beat on them when I'm going to try to get something done. Do I use them? Absolutely. Use them all the time. Do I abuse them like I would these knives? In the nicest way possible. Because keep in mind, guys, all knives want to be used. All knives want to be a little bit rough. They like to play hard. We hold them back a lot of the times. But yeah, these are my 6 go-to get it done knives. You got the TwoSun, I think it's the TS346. I could be wrong about that. You've got the Cold Steel American Lawman. You've got the Cold Steel 8010 with the triad lock. You've got the Cold Steel 4MAX with the triad lock. You've got my favorite, the Cold Steel 8015 with the scorpion lock. And then you've got the Benchmade Freak with the axis lock. Great knives. Thank you, Joe Isabella, for the be up love. Be up, guys. I love each and every one of you. All I ask, please, if you're new or if you haven't had a chance, hit that subscribe button, bell notification icon. If you want to, like the video. If you don't, that's fine. But please, look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. And always, if possible, choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.